Welcome back to Gaelic Games Fan TV. A sensational performance from Shane Walsh. 1-8 in total is what he ends up with for Kilmacud Crokes as they beat Naas 114 to 10 points. And it is Kilmacud Crokes who are Leinster Club football champions for a third year running. And look, fair play to Naas. I thought they gave a very good display of themselves. I thought they gave a very good game. I think 7 points definitely flatters the overall sort of scoreline of, or the overall sort of way that this game was. I mean, it wasn't a 7-point game by any stretch of the imagination. It was obviously that fantastic goal right at the end from Shane Walsh when Naas had obviously committed men forward to try and get a goal back into the game that ultimately makes it a 7-point game. But look, it was very touch and go throughout. I thought Crokes controlled the game brilliantly. I thought the re-emergence of one Craig Diaz was sensational for Crokes. I thought he was absolutely brilliant, and he was fantastic in around midfield. And even Theo Clancy, I thought, a very, very good game. You know, when you've got Dara Kirwan obviously in a corner forward, I mean, he was being picked up by Rory O'Carroll, but Dermot Hannafin was having a great game as well. Alex Byrne was doing a lot right for Naas, and I thought Theo Clancy handled some of Naas's attacks very, very well. I thought he had a very, very good game in a fullback. And I think, yeah, you know, he's obviously been playing under 20 football for Dublin in the last couple of years. And I think there's a strong chance with some maybe potential retirements in Dublin's fullback line next year that maybe Theo Clancy might be able to get his opportunity in that Dublin defence next year. But look, I suppose there's only one way to start, one place to start, and that is Shane Walsh. Yeah, I mean, look, you run out of superlatives to describe Shane Walsh. You probably run out of ways to discuss how good he is. But I really don't think there's ever been a player who's made as big an impact coming to a team than Shane Walsh. And look, I know it was maybe a controversial transfer or whatever you want to call it when he came to Kilmacud Crokes. I know it certainly splits opinions, and I know certainly a lot of people probably aren't too happy that Shane Walsh plays for Kilmacud Crokes. You know, when you look on Twitter, when you look on social media, there's plenty of people who are still complaining about it, still giving out about it right now. And look, maybe you could argue it isn't fair, but at the same time, if a player is going to live and work in Dublin and like he wants to play Gaelic football and he's good enough to play for the best team, then why not? You know, that's just how it is. And look, he was outstanding. A goal and 8 points. Some of his points were brilliant. Nailed almost every free. I don't think he hit one wide. I can't remember one wide anyway. And then his goal at the end as well. The composure, the skill, you know, in those kind of scenarios. Look, I mean, the game's already won, even if Shane Walsh misses that and makes a mess of it. But at the same time, to have that composure, especially in such a big moment as well, I thought was very, very impressive. And even, I think the point just before that, where he sold 2 defenders, you know, down the river and popped it over the bar, like that was top class stuff. Top class stuff. And yeah, look, he plays his best football with Kilmacud Crokes. There's no doubt about it. He probably had a lackluster year, you would say, with Galway by his own standards, because when we're seeing him play it like this, you know, this is him at his absolute peak. But, you know, Galway fans will be hoping he can get back to his best with Galway next year. And look, to be fair, it's so much football for him to play with Crokes, with Galway. You can understand maybe when he goes back to Galway that there is a bit of a drop. But yeah, he was outstanding. Rory O'Carroll is very good. Shane Horan, I thought, had a very good game. And look, for Naas, it was just one of them for Naas where Crokes just kept controlling the game. Like, there was so many moments where you looked at Naas and you thought they're getting themselves back into the game. Dara Kirwan was having a big impact. Alex Byrne, even though he got sent off towards the end, I thought was fairly impressive. And do you know what it is with Crokes? It's almost like they strangle you in matches. They just don't, they give you a small glimpse of a chance, but nowhere near, you know, enough of a chance. And for Naas, they didn't do a whole lot wrong. Like, it wasn't, they missed 1 or 2 opportunities here and there. They just couldn't quite, I think they ran out of energy towards the end, and Crokes were just able to keep the ball over and over, recycle possession, and it was impossible for Naas really to make an impact in the game. And yeah, like even some of the substitutes that the Kilmacud Crokes were able to bring on, the likes of Luke Ward, Dan Murphy, like they all contributed hugely in terms of possession, killing the game, tracking back, making challenges. And, I think for Crokes, like even seeing Paul Mannion, for example, do a lot more of the dirty work today, a lot more of the defensive work. I remember him turning over a ball inside his own 45. So he was doing so much of the good stuff at the back as well. But they just, Naas just couldn't quite get the chances or get the opportunities, and Crokes were just able to keep them at arm's length. And like even looking at it, Naas, the only time they led in the game was obviously Dermot Hanifin kicks the opening score. But after that, it was cruise control for Crokes in many ways. Naas had their moments, no doubt about that. They had a couple of chances to make a game out of. There was one stage at the start of the second half where they got it back down to a point. They started turning, they got a bit of joy off Crokes' kickouts on different occasions. But the thing with Crokes is that, like, there was one moment at the start of the second half, Naas bring it back down to a point. Connor Ferris obviously has it, or Higgins has his kick out, and Craig Diaz wins the kick out, catches the high ball when it goes in and around the middle. And you're looking at it right there and you're thinking that was a huge turning point. Crokes went down the other end, had a 2-point lead. So that was a big, big turning point, no doubt about it. Porrick says Kilmacud Crokes looking to retain All-Ireland for the first time ever. Shane Walsh and Paul Mannion, best two forwards ever to win All-Ireland senior club football title together. Walsh, the full package. He certainly is. I mean, score 1-8. And look, playing in Croke Park as well, a ground he's obviously very familiar with. All his best performances that I can remember from have all come inside Croke Park. And that was the same today as well. But look, Crokes are going to take some stopping from here. It's going to be very, very hard for anyone to beat them. Like, you're looking at what Gramsglen or Scottstown. I think the winner of that game is going to be their closest challenge, realistically speaking. I think it's going to be tough for anyone to stop Crokes. I really, really do. Like, Glen haven't looked at their absolute best at times this year. Like, they've sort of grinded their way through games. I think them versus Crokes will be a very cagey game, a very slow game, a very game of cat and mouse. It probably won't be the best game for a spectator, but it might make for an exciting game going down the home stretch, and it might be what maybe gets them over the line. But you would look at Crokes, and ultimately it's very, very hard to see who stops them from here. Like, they had their scary moment versus Raheny. They had their moment where they were nearly beaten, and since then they've been very, very comfortable in almost every game that they've played. Like, they've had a few moments, they've had a few moments. They've had a few vulnerable moments here and there. They're certainly not the finish, they're not the most perfect team. But then again, every team has its vulnerabilities. It's not going to be perfect every single time. But they find ways to win, and they just control the game ever so beautifully. It was a top class performance once again from Crokes and from Mr. Shane Walsh. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Man of the match, I think, has to go to Shane Walsh. There's no debate, there's no disputing it whatsoever. It's there we go. Another big statement here from Porrick, who says Shane Walsh, best ever Kilmacud Crokes footballer and one of Galway's greatest ever players. Shane Walsh, best and most successful transfer in Gaelic football since Larry Tompkins. Interesting statement. I mean, for anyone watching, let me know, is Shane Walsh Kilmacud Crokes best ever player? Look, if they win an All-Ireland, back-to-back All-Ireland titles, I think he's certainly in the conversation. But do let us know in the comments down below. Like, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll speak to you soon.